My name is Michelle Thompson, and I'm so excited to be here with you today to give you some strategies and support as we navigate caring for and working with vulnerable children. This video will explore regulation and sensory processing issues and how they affect the kids that we care for. Regulation and sensory processing issues are actually very prevalent for children in the foster care system and children who have been adopted. There's a couple reasons for this. Trauma rewires the brain, and those connections can become disrupted and cause sensory issues in kids that go on through their adulthood. Another reason this is the case is through environment. When a child's primary needs aren't being met, I am hungry, someone brings me a bottle, I am tired, someone rocks me to sleep, they're not getting that appropriate sensory input. And so their brains are not able to categorize that. As they get older, they're not able to regulate their own body because nobody helped them regulate it when they were little. We all have our sensory preferences. I don't like the sound of nails on a chalkboard. I don't like the taste of cilantro in my food. That sweater is really itchy. We all have our likes and dislikes. Sensory processing disorders are where it inhibits our daily function. That you can't go out because these socks are so itchy and the seam hurts my foot so bad that it is an epic meltdown. Now, we're not talking toddler tantrums here. We're talking rages that last for hours over something seemingly small. As parents and caregivers, this can be challenging to navigate. It can look like bad behavior. Sensory issues can look like the hyper child that can't seem to calm their body down, the clumsy child who seems to always knock things over, and the child that is always chewing on their shirt. But once you can spot them and find some tools and tricks to help with them, it will make your everyday so much easier. There are three main ways that sensory processing issues can present itself in a child. The first is the over-responsive. This is the child that avoids. They don't like hugs, they brush off your kisses, they don't like strong smells or tags on clothing. This child tends to be overly anxious and avoids at all costs. Next is the under-responsive. This is the ho-hum child, the child that can sit in a puddle of water and not be bothered by the feeling of their wet pants. This is the child that has a very high pain tolerance, one that can eat spicy foods and seems to not react. These children can even come across as unmotivated even though they aren't. The last is our sensory seeking. This is the child that craves more. They're constantly doing big movements. They're spinning, they're climbing, they are the daredevil. These children crave big movements, heavy pressure, and are always on the go. These are also the kids that are constantly chewing on their shirt and eating things that are not food. It's important to remember that while there are dominant areas of sensory processing, they can overlap in many ways. So while you might think the child you are caring for is definitely sensory seeking, they might also have things about them that are sensory avoiding, and it's okay to have overlap and to have an open mind when looking at our child and their needs. There are many things that we can do to support our children in their regulation and sensory needs. Some of these include weighted blankets, tagless clothing, a healthy sensory diet, which that's just a fancy word for giving them different ways to experience textures and feelings throughout the day, and also teaching them how to cope and how to regulate. In some cases, occupational therapy can be really helpful with helping a child with sensory processing disorder. It is our job to teach our children how to regulate their body. This can be done through co-regulation at first, with the hopes of getting them towards self-regulation. We can even help identify some of that language that our children may be lacking. I'm feeling really anxious and nervous inside. I'm gonna take some deep belly breaths. Do you wanna do it with me? And modeling that for our kids. They don't know these strategies unless we teach it to them. While this takes practice and time, every child and adult can learn to regulate their body and get to a place where tantrums and meltdowns are a thing of the past.